Mireya Villarreal is at a memorial near the scene of the fire. Mireya, as I understand it, it's been a challenge identifying the victims. We now know that there are at least 36 of them.
Yeah, and Marie, right now, obviously, the way the victims are being found is in a decomposed state. Their bodies severely burned, so that has made it very difficult for the coroner's office to get a good understanding, a good facial recognition, for example, of who these victims might be. So they're having to go to DNA evidence. So they are asking families that have been in contact with them to try and preserve any sort of evidence that may have DNA on them, like toothbrushes and hairbrushes. In some cases, for example, like the father you just heard, Randy, he talked about his son being identified by fingerprints, for example, but that's not the case in all of these situations. So very difficult right now to ask for the coroner's office.
Could you tell us a little bit more about the party that was being held on Friday? What do we know about it?
You know, from what we understand, talking with both the law enforcement that has been investigating this and also some of the family and friends that were either at the location or knew of this site. I mean, this was a place where we had a lot of artists gathering on this particular night. It was supposed to be kind of a compilation, a come together of different electronic types of music. In the case of Randy and his son, Brandon Chase, he was actually there, for example, bartending for the night. So there were a lot of different walks of life coming in, but this was supposed to be an electronic music event. They were charging, my understanding is $10 to get in the door, for example. So it really was supposed to be kind of a concert situation with dozens, if not close to 100 people in attendance at a certain given time.
All right, so figuring out exactly how many people were in there, is that sort of still up in the air?
You know, as we heard Carter talk about this a little earlier, I mean, only 70% of the building has been searched. I mean, they are still holding off a little bit, but so far they have 36 victims. We've heard the chief, the fire battalion chief, talk about hearing reports that there may have been upwards of 100 to 200 people inside at a given time, not necessarily when the fire started. You know, the issue is, you know, once the fire started, trying to track down all the people who are missing and then may have been in the building. That's been a big task for law enforcement. So right now, those numbers continue to change from hour to hour on how many people were actually inside the building when the fire started.
All right, Mireya Villarreal in Oakland, California. Thank you so much, Mireya.